Says we're going live. And we are live. All right. How's it going, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. And this is our fourth one-on-one conversation, this time with the wonderful Annie Galloway. Annie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It was a good day.
Good. Good, good, good. Same here. Work was whatever, but we're here. All right. So I guess just off the bat, Annie, why don't you let the people know who are you? Who is the Annie Galloway?
Uh, well, I'm Annie. I am a designer and an illustrator. I live in the Twin Cities. My job is to do graphic design for small businesses and entrepreneurs. And then the thing I like to do the most, other than that, is make illustrations.
Okay. Just for fun, those illustrations?
Sometimes I sell them. So I'll do commissions for people every once in a while. I have a Patreon where I have people supporting my illustration work and I share some behind the scenes work
Okay.
around there. And then, yeah, I guess that's mostly it.
Okay. So just to let the audience know, the reason how me and Annie know each other is we both went to college together. Annie graduated 1 year earlier than I did. What was your major exactly?
I was a theater major with a focus in acting, and I graduated with honors in that. And then I had a minor in art with a focus in photography.
Interesting. Like
So nothing that I'm doing now.
right, right. See, for me, I graduated with a major in studio arts, which was kind of a late switch because I actually started off. I don't know if you knew this, but I started off going into college as a math major.
I think I remember when you switched.
Yeah. So I did like math with like computer science as well
Hmm.
because I was thinking more like coding and like I'm one of those weird people that can do both math and art.
Hmm.
And some people like I know out there get like really jealous of people like me, and it's like, how can you do both?
My
But
best friend is like you also. She's the same way.
really, okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, so like junior year, I switched over to art, and so I took like nothing but art classes the last like 2 years, couple of drawing classes, and then my focus, because your focus was photography,
Hmm.
my focus was like the media side with like film and media design.
Because
So,
we took video art together.
oh my, that's right. I
Yeah,
remember
that's how
that.
we met.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Video art one, right? Remember
I think
correctly?
so. Or
Okay.
video art. I took one and two, I think.
You took both. Okay. No, I took
Yeah.
both as well. Just trying to remember if it was video art one. If it was video art one, that was the show or the show. Wow, the class that really got me inspired to get
Mm,
into art actually, and I think Professor Briggs. Shout out to her if she's ever watching this.
yeah, she's the best.
Yeah, she really inspired me to go down that route. And actually, I don't know if you remember this, but my senior year, my independent study was to make a film.
Oh, cool.
Yep, and so Professor Briggs was my mentor advisor person for that. Do you remember that at all? The film that I made?
I remember the one about Alex, but I don't know what your final was for your final
I'm sorry.
project.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just laughing because that Alex. Oh, that was what was that? Yeah, I that was weird and just that we
It
can.
was super, super fun.
Yeah, it was. But no. So the film I made it was called Jennifer. And
Okay.
yeah, and so like it's on YouTube as well. And like the thumbnail is I have like a paper like mask on her. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just and I guess we can kind of start getting into like the creative process and how we and I was just thinking more just like my past and just like I guess off the bat, I'm even though I'm gonna say it's kind of controversial, I'm not a normal guy. Like the way how I think, the way I see the world isn't necessarily like the same as other people. Like one thing off the bat that I will admit is that I have anxiety, like
Mm-hmm.
major anxiety around people.
Hmm.
When I have like one-on-ones like with you, great. My focus is on you. We can have that like dialogue back and forth and I'm comfortable in that. But when I get into like a group of people, like
Hmm.
going back to like Gustavus at college, I really just don't like being around groups of people. And there's
I
not there's no, go for it.
Oh, I can empathize with that
Hmm.
as somebody who also struggles with anxiety.
Yeah.
Um, it particularly comes out when I'm in large groups of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So were you like one of those people too, like during dinner, where you would like just get the food and then like get out of the cafeteria ASAP?
I can force myself through it. I'm pretty good with like small groups. So I can go with like groups of like, 5 or 6 pretty well. But if
Mm-hmm.
I go to a party, I am usually very, very anxious the entire time and I'm not
Yes.
sure what to do with myself.
Yep, I 100% can relate because there would be some parties I would go to, and at the start, like it's good. People like interact with me. And it's like, oh hey Griff, how's it going? All that fun stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
then like 5 minutes in, and it doesn't matter whether I'm drinking or not. Like I just get this like anxious, like depressed, like feeling, and I don't know about you, but it's like this feeling of like not feeling be like not feeling wanted, if that makes any sense.
Mm.
Or like I just stand in the corner. Everyone has their own like groups and their own like little parties and whatever. In part of it, I kind of like make myself do it, but on other times it's almost by I don't know. It's one of those weird things where like I'm just in this corner, and the point is going back to the creative process. Like the reason why I bring this all up is because like the way I think is not like normal, and I can like talk to people about this stuff, and like you can like again like understand and see my point of view, but I want to show that, and I want to just
Mm-hmm.
show that anxiety, and so that's where that Jennifer film came into play, is to show like a first person point of view how like sometimes you can like physically like I'm seeing you right now, I'm looking at the camera, like in real life. But then there are
Mm-hmm.
moments where like you get so caught up in your own like brain inside your own head that sometimes you actually don't see reality, but you see whatever you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so like one example, I'm going into the Jennifer film, like back in the day, I had this crush, like very cute girl, whatever. I won't name her, but it's like there are times where it's like I'm just doing my thing, and then I either see her specifically or I see someone that reminds me of her, and then it's like
Mm-hmm.
I get into this like anxious like state,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like I don't know what to do with myself, and it kind of like
Mm-hmm.
freaks myself out. And
So how did you capture that in your video? I'm curious because I haven't seen it, so I'm curious to know
yeah,
like how you structured your video around that.
no, that's an excellent question. So the way I went about it, was I really wanted to play the game with first person point of view. Like I
Mm-hmm.
love those movies where they do the first person point of view.
Mm-hmm.
One inspiration for a movie is called it's either Manic or Maniac. It stars
Okay.
Elijah Wood back in
Okay.
2013. I'm gonna quickly look this up, but so it stars Elijah Wood, and so the entire movie, it's a horror movie, but it takes place from the first person point of view. Let's see, is it Maniac? Yeah. So Maniac, a serial killer, Elijah Wood, removes his victims, scalps, and attaches them to the vintage mannequin. So he's a serial killer. Long story short, but what's so unique about the film is that it is from the first person point of view. Like the way how your eyes are looking at me right now
Mm-hmm.
is how
Mm-hmm.
the entire movie is played out.
Wild.
Yeah, and the only times you know that it's Elijah Wood who plays the main character, sometimes he'll look in a mirror. And when he looks in a mirror, you
Mm-hmm.
see Elijah Wood looking back at you.
Interesting.
So that is my inspiration, so that you guys can literally see my point of view as I go about it. And so, the reason why I went that way is how I mentioned earlier, where sometimes I'm physically like looking at the person, the place, whatever. But then sometimes that thing will come in your way, and you get so wrapped up in your own mind. And sometimes it just doesn't make sense what's in your
Mm-hmm.
mind. And so that's where like, I won't spoil too much, but like, the crush wears a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way how at least I interpreted the mask is it is my ideal version of her,
Mm-hmm.
like the perfect version of her.
Right.
And so like the mask, it's like, even though it doesn't, like from another person the mask doesn't look attractive or whatever, but from my point of view I think the ideal version of her looks like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I bounced back and forth, and then because like sometimes anxiety like ruins friendships,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's one of those deals where like as the movie progresses you get so caught up in your mind that your friends kind of like see this and they think like, what's wrong with you, you look kind of weird, whatever. And you just you just don't act like yourself.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like you know what I mean? Like when you feel like anxious and like around people, like you just can't think alike, or the like as you would like by yourself.
Mhm. Mhm.
It sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really rough.
hmm So I've been talking for a little while, but so that's kind of the way I perceive that. And so like moving forward, like one of my dream goals down the road is to make my own like animated series, and
Mm.
I want to really play with reality and that
Mhm.
whole like the way how again we perceive the world. Like everyone perceives the world in a unique way,
Yeah.
and I can talk about it for days and days and days, but I want to like sit down and actually, and that's why I'm working on my drawings and working on
Mhm.
this is to really show what I'm feeling and
Yeah,
showing
and
my point of
animation
view.
is such a good tool for that, I feel like.
hmm
Just because you can do so much more. I mean, you could do a lot with video and with photography and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, like you're still working with what you have in the real world. But with animation, you can do anything. You could draw anything. So I
Exactly.
I think that's smart.
Which is one of my regrets with doing the Jennifer film because it was in real life. Problem
Hmm.
was getting people together because I had like I think like 6 actors or so, and
Hmm.
just timing everything out to get people together. Absolute
And then
pain.
college when everybody's so busy too.
Exactly. And this was the end of the year too, so everyone's like prepping for finals too on top of
Right.
that. So it was definitely a pain in the rear, and it actually did mess up with my script. Like it
Mm.
was that bad. Like I actually had to change some characters out, which is why I'm not like totally happy with the end product. But
Mm.
like when I first made the script, like it was like bulletproof because of
Hmm.
how like direct my message was. And that's
Hmm.
why I definitely want to take this step with animation because all that really the actors need to do is either like online, like you can like speak your lines, send it to me, and then I can work on like the mouth movement,
Right.
boom, and then again I could place her anywhere. I could place her here in South Dakota, up in Minnesota, in space,
Right.
at Mars, whatever.
Right.
And so that is one thing that does fascinate me. Just talking more about the creative process is just I love the idea of taking something that is real and then twisting it or bending
Hmm.
it or distorting it in some odd way, shape, or form. But then after that, putting some meaning behind that and trying to put some logic behind that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So one example, okay, I know I'm talking a little too much, and I'll
That's okay. This is interesting to hear.
So, one reason why I have so many subscribers here on YouTube, my big series that I made here on YouTube, which ironically I actually made at Gustavus during J term,
Mm-hmm.
which to the fans, J term is at college. You get this 1 month, January, where it's in between semesters, between fall and spring semester, and you get that one special month to do whatever, either one special class, an internship. You don't have to do anything. And so for my senior year, I did work for sports information, and I filmed like hockey games and basketball games and whatnot.
Mm.
I was also in track and field as well. But other than those two things, I was working on what is my most successful series of all time here on YouTube. And this will be the only time I'm going to talk about NASCAR on here because that's my channel is like NASCAR related. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm expanding around my horizons around that. So the series I made is called "What If Dale Earnhardt Was Still Alive?" Yeah. So do you know who Dale Earnhardt is?
He was a race car driver, right?
Yep, yep. And he passed away in 2001.
Okay.
And so I literally made like a 7, 8 part series documenting what NASCAR would be like if Dale Earnhardt was still alive.
That's really cool.
hmm And so like every video was like at least 20, 30 minutes long. And like the part I was focused on is what drivers went with what teams in every year. So
Mm.
so like for example, like the driver who ended up replacing Dale Earnhardt, his name was Kevin Harvick. So if Dale Earnhardt was still alive, where would Kevin Harvick go? And so I
Right.
put him with another driver, but then he replaces another
I
driver,
was gonna
and
say
so
it's a ripple effect.
exactly. And
That's cool.
I personally love that.
Yeah.
I love doing that, just the whole like cause and effect. And I literally have lists for days for where that goes, and like the whole like cause and effect. Because again, this all started in like 2002. I went all the way to 2016.
Awesome.
And just the ripple effect of that far down And I also played with like, storylines and uh different painting different cars and
That
like
feels like a good balance of like the your analytical side and then your artistic side.
yes. Yeah. And I've noticed that too, where it's like for whatever dumb reason, like I'm really good with numbers and
Hmm.
like with shapes, which really random side note, in my
Hmm.
drawing book, like I actually bought a drawing book and I've been, going through pages.
Yeah, it's great.
I just got past the point where it talks about like shapes like cubes and cylinders and whatnot and how that helps with drawing the human body, at least at
Hmm.
first.
Hmm.
I love that. I love just how what's the word? Like how it relates to math in a
Hmm.
way, because you deal with like with cubes, you deal with like volume and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about proportions, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I kind of lost my train of thought there for a minute, but
I had said, I had said that that your video about Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Dale Hart
Uh,
Senior.
oh, senior, sorry.
It's
Uh,
okay.
that it was a good blend of your analytical and artistic side, and that's when you
Mm.
responded to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, no, I love that. Like, and I feel like that's what makes me like stand out, and that's where I definitely want to pursue. Is like, and then actually going to like the college sport videos that I made, like putting together like music with like the action. I love that so
Hmm.
much. I love just like with football. Whenever there's like a hit, a bass drop is gonna go right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So yeah, so actually here I want to switch it over to you. So like I guess just talk about how you go about the creative process and kind of more just into like what inspires you with your like art and drawing. And I would even maybe go as far as to, like what exactly do you design and draw?
Mm-hmm.
So well, yeah, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah. Well, I am a big nerd. So
Perfect.
yeah. So, and I'm not ashamed of that anymore. It took quite a few years to
No, that's
embrace it.
awesome.
Now I'm there. So, but yeah, I do. I think it's in a broad sense, stories are inspiring to me. The way that people tell stories. I mean, that's all I studied when I was studying theater in college. That's how you tell a good story and all of the components of that.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's morphed into that like has morphed into like communal storytelling. I do a lot of D&D with my friends,
Okay.
and the characters that you can make in that and the interactions and stories that happen, I feel like that is where I draw the most inspiration from
Hmm.
nowadays. So when we're like playing D&D or whatever, I'm sketching the entire time, and those are often what end up becoming larger drawings. So yeah, magic and interesting people, maybe, I
Okay.
think would be my answer for what really inspires me.
For sure. So quick off the bat, so you mentioned magic. Are you a big
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter fan?
Oh yeah, of course.
Perfect. So we won't talk too long about this, but what's your house?
Oh, I'm a Ravenclaw for
Eh,
sure.
me too.
I have a banner somewhere. It's not hanging up anymore. Otherwise, I'd turn the camera. I took it down a little while ago. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Ravenclaw's the house to be.
Yep. And it's really funny for me because my name is Griffin, so you
Yeah.
think Gryffindor. Like that, so stupid. Like in high school, that was one of my nicknames. Like down the hall, you get those like jocks, Gryffindor, and I'm like,
You're like, I'm a
I'm a
Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw. Dang it.
Yeah.
No, I actually took the quiz last year on Pottermore, and yeah,
Mm.
I'm a total Ravenclaw. So yeah, no, actually last year I through audiobooks I reread the entire series.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
My fiance and I do like a re-listen every other year. The audiobooks are amazing. Do you listen to the Jim Dale ones?
Yes. Yes.
Yep, they're
Yep.
great.
Hmm. Yeah, and like sometimes what I would do like in 2018 is like I would go to like the gym to work out, and
Hmm.
I live about like 2 miles away, so I literally
Hmm.
the entire time I would walk, and I would listen to
Great.
like a chapter. Like I remember specifically one time listening to like Order of Phoenix, and specifically the chapter when Hagrid came back to tell his
Hmm.
tale. Yeah, no, it's and that's actually kind of funny because one of the things I listen to as well as like podcasts, and one podcast I literally listened to today was called the Mugglecast.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and so they literally like at least now what they're doing is they're going chapter by chapter of the entire series.
Oh, that's great. And just like analyzing it and talking about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep, for sure.
What a fun way to like revisit something that you love so much.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. So I guess just going off of so like what I feel like you already answered this question already, but like what was it about like Harry Potter and magic again that like inspires you? Like you mentioned like I guess the story aspect. Can you go a little
Mm-hmm.
more like I guess detailed or more in depth about that?
Mm. I mean, I think that the way that humans interact with each other is really interesting, and that's usually the basis of most stories.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you add magic to that as well, you can, amplify it, like I was talking to you about with your, with switching to animation,
Yes.
instead of like video art or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that the amplification of the story, I mean, it's drama. That's always fun. I feel like I'm always illustrating either like really, really quiet moments or big. Um,
Actiony.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
So I guess are there so other than like Magic and D&D, are there any other like I guess shows or series that you're really interested in?
Yes. Let me tell you.
Yeah, go ahead and name a few.
Okay. Let me think. Like for things that I like to watch, I love Steven Universe. I feel like that is like the
Mm,
perfect.
yes.
It's so
Yes.
good. The
Yes.
animation is beautiful.
Yes.
It's very like cohesive and lovely, and the
Yes.
story is incredible.
Yes.
It's accessible to people of any age, and it's
Hmm.
really, really inclusive. I love Steven Universe. I feel like it's like everything good media should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Like in July, I binged the entire series to prepare
Mhm.
myself for Steven Universe the movie.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
movie was great.
Oh yeah. No, I totally agree. But what else?
Okay, so I do that. Let me think. I'm always looking at other illustrators on Twitter. Actually, there are tons of like comic artists and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, well, for some reason, I'm like drawing a blank on like the media that I watch, which is ridiculous because
Hmm.
I feel like I'm always absorbing things.
Yeah.
For book series right now, I'm really into the Stormlight Archive and all of Brandon Sanderson's books.
Okay.
He's an incredible storyteller, and he focuses on like those tiny, tiny human moments, and that's why his characters are so compelling. But then there's like a huge, overarching, like universal, like multi-universal um, stuff that's going on the entire time throughout all of his stories too. And he has like a whole chunk of books, different series that are all interconnected as well,
Hmm.
through their universe. So I'm really, really listening to a lot of, or reading and listening to the audiobooks of all of his stories right now.
Gotcha. That was my cat. She's biting cardboard, whatever reason.
Of course,
Yeah.
as cats do.
Yeah. Idiot. Whatever. Anyway, so I guess one thing that you mentioned, like tiny human moments. Like,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Like the first thing I think I was literally like tiny humans, but like, what do you mean by that exactly?
Just like the things that make us really human, like the quiet moments, where you're feeling big things in your like small human body, I
Hmm.
guess. I
Hmm.
think those are, I don't know, it's so relatable for everybody, I think.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
Okay. I gotcha. I guess I'll throw a couple of things that I'm like do or that I'm inspired by as well.
Mhm.
So first of all, have you ever seen the show Over the Garden Wall?
Yes, I was also going to mention that. I love
Okay,
Over the Garden Wall. It's beautiful.
that was my actual initial inspiration or re-spark, if you will, to get
Hmm.
into animation
Hmm.
because so there was another YouTuber named Saberspark who reviews like animations, and he mostly does like bad animations because you got to get those views.
Hmm.
He mentioned Over the Garden Wall last year, and he didn't spoil anything. He just mentioned it was a good show, and he mentioned the idea that it was a limited series, like 10
Yep.
minutes long, 10 episodes, whatever. So yeah, actually, 1 year ago from this Saturday, actually, I
Oh, wow.
watched it for the first time ever, and yeah, I almost cried because of how magnificent it was.
Yeah, I think I cried at the end of it. It's gorgeous. It's such a beautiful story, and the animation is so lovely.
Yes. Yep, and I could totally what's it? Wart, is it? The Elijah
Hmm.
Wood character? Yeah, I'm him.
Hmm.
Just the way how he is, like he's like serious and like oh man, like when he's around like
Careful.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, exactly. I that was like my respark. Like I actually plan to rewatch that this Saturday.
Hmm.
It's gonna be a
It's
blast.
perfect for fall.
Exactly. Like that's another like fall like ritual thing. I definitely want
Hmm.
to jump into that. And then my other big inspiration, you can see it just right over here. It's a little poster. You ever seen the show Gravity
It was
Falls?
like Gravity Falls. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever?
Gravity Falls is great too.
Yeah. I hate myself for missing the train on that because I know like I think a couple of your friends or at least people you know were like big into Gravity Falls at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you remember Aaron Bogan at all, or like Nick
Oh yeah,
Sweetland?
Boogie. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I still see him every once in a while.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so like I remembered like I don't remember how I went there, but like on Facebook, like him and like Nick were like mentioning to each other like, "Oh, Gravity Falls is ending," and it's just
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
it's so dumb because fun fact, my freshman year, I was actually neighbors with Aaron.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so like I got to know him like pretty well, and it's just we were on different like wavelengths at the time because again I was doing the math thing. I was not thinking at all about
Mm-hmm.
animation.
Mm-hmm.
So this last spring, I went ahead binged all 40 episodes of Gravity Falls, and I what I love about that show is just again opening up my eyes to the fact that through animation you can make anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can literally create anything, and you
You can
don't
tell
have
any story.
yeah, you don't have to like go anywhere and like have to like hire a film crew and hire actors and get all these people from all around the country or city or whatever to commit to this and actually physically be there. Like
Right.
you can literally just go into a studio and is it tedious work? Yes, but with some of the work I've done in the past, that's also been tedious work and I love that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I love working on stuff that I know like there's an end to it and I know like there's like what do you call it?
You like
Like
to check it off.
exactly like an
Mm-hmm.
end goal, and like with money and stuff like that, I know that's a whole nother thing. But just
Mm-hmm.
the fact of just feeling complete, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and just knowing like especially I know what I'm doing in the process, and that's that's what I love about that. But one thing off of that, and I kind of want to maybe bounce this topic off of you, just like the whole
Mm-hmm.
idea of like being like a professional.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is with animation, just where I'm at right now, like I'm not a professional by any stretch
Mm-hmm.
of the imagination. And actually, it's funny. I actually did not share this with anybody, but on Sunday, I took my first trip to Michael's, the arts and craft
Oh,
shop. Yeah,
awesome. Welcome.
and I got a few things, including Woody here.
Nice.
Yep.
Great.
So using him as my
Classic. You gotta.
yeah, I have to. And then I also got Hans here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so dumb because they only have the right hand. Like I want to get both hands, but
Right. Wouldn't you? You'd think. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I have to get creative and think, oh, what does the left hand look like? And then I also have a, styrofoam head over here, which is really creepy. And my mom was like, "What the f?" when she saw it. I'll show you it. Yeah, this thing.
Amazing.
Yep. And the reason why I got it is just again like the different points of view, like where the eyes are and like
Mm-hmm.
all the different like positions and whatnot. Like,
Yeah, that's a great resource.
absolutely, it's just terrifying. But yeah, no, and so the thing is, and just it's one of those things that it kind of bothers me, not like to a super far extent, but just with everything that I'm just doing in life right now, and
Hmm.
the NASCAR stuff that I've been doing. Like most people, the reason why they subscribe to me is because of my NASCAR content. The problem is I've been doing this like I almost consider it like a hard switch to this animation,
Hmm.
and it's like I I don't know where if there's like a question in this or not, but like sometimes I feel like going this animation route is not a good idea.
Mm.
It's one
I
of the
think you should pursue what's tugging you, whatever's engaging to you right now.
and that's what I'm thinking too. It's just one of the weird things is like and again, and no not it has nothing to do like with you or something like that, but the last talk I had was with like an NASCAR YouTuber, and
Hmm.
there's like a lot more people that were watching this,
Hmm.
and again, it's just because like since we're talking more about art and it's not necessarily like my field specifically,
Hmm.
but it's just like the whole idea of like getting those eyeballs on like my craft, if you will,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so again, I don't know if there's necessarily like a question, but it's just like sometimes I have doubts in my art,
Mm.
and like for example, going back, so like the most recent drawing I did, it was
Hmm.
called Wonder. Did you see that at all?
I think so.
It was the where like the guy has the light out in front of him and he's
Yes.
looking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there was one person who mentioned that the hands were off on the drawing.
Hmm.
Yeah. So and
I
so
hate people who do that.
yeah, and so actually okay.
That's a bummer.
So a question off of that, I guess, and I can't believe I didn't write this down. How do you process like criticisms and critiques? Like, what's your thought process around it?
Yeah, I feel like I practice. Well, one, I'm not good at taking critiques. I'm like a sponge at all times. It
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of practice to keep a level head, I guess.
Yeah.
And I usually don't.
Mm-hmm.
But that's I don't know. I'm self-aware. But I feel like I have had a lot of practice, like when I was going to school for theater,
Mm-hmm.
because I would get critiques on my art every single day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you brought in a monologue every day. So I feel like it's just reminding yourself what really matters, like what matters to you about making your art.
Mm-hmm.
Keep putting your art out there, so that you can either, get used to hearing critique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just practice hearing critique. It helps. I think those are the two biggest things is just to like remind yourself like why you're making art, why it's important to you. Remind yourself that you're learning right now.
Yeah.
So give yourself some grace there. If you're learning anything publicly, I feel like that's admirable. If you're sharing work as you're learning, I feel like that's incredible because a lot of people won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll wait till something's perfect before they share it. So I would applaud you on sharing things as you're learning right now. I feel like that's great.
Hmm. That's actually good to know. One of the things
Yeah.
I did last Monday was I actually streamed myself working on the drawing,
Yeah.
like as it was like being progressed. And like the thing is, I didn't like necessarily like interact with the chat. I didn't like talk to them much. I just did my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if like a super chat or someone like did come up, and of course I did respond to them then. But yeah, and then I guess just another thing too. I don't know about you, but like I'm working on it, but I do have the case of the perfectionist or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
perfectionism, and
Yeah.
I'm like you, where it's like I can only show it off like when it's done, when it's like
Mm-hmm.
fully done.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's bad, and I know it's something that I need to work on for sure. Uh,
I feel like even just that you have the awareness of that is the first step. Like if you're like, okay, well, I want to work on getting better at showing things before they're 100%, before they're totally perfect, before I'm
mm-hmm.
totally satisfied with that, because that enables you to keep creating work, right? Then you're not
Right.
just like focusing and focusing and focusing on one piece. You can make more things that way,
Mm,
share more things that way, build community that way. If you have that awareness that that's something that you need to work on, that's, step one. So
for
I feel
sure.
like you're already in a good place.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess just off of that, just with creation, I guess I do want to talk about like the business part because I know that
Mm-hmm.
beforehand you definitely wanted to talk about that. So for clarification's sake, so you have your own business, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Could you just talk, I guess, a little bit about just what it's like to run your own business and how that all works out?
Yeah, so I've been making graphic designs for forever. The first time that I opened like a photo editing program was probably when I was 9 years old and like on Neopets making guild layouts or something,
Mm-hmm.
throwback. So I've been working at it for a long time. That's how I made money in college. I made posters for the art department,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, not the art department, for the music department,
Mm-hmm.
because they had tons and tons of events all of the time,
Yep.
and also for the theater department.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I always had a sense that that was how I was going to support myself. Or I gained a sense of that through college, is that was how it was a way that I could make money, that I was still being creative. It's a little more technical, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and you're in service to other people, so you're making things for other people and what they want all of the time. So it's a little bit different than like just making illustration.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I did it part time, for the first couple of years after college, and then at the beginning of this year, I went full time. I technically declared my business in 2017 because I was making enough money to do so, which isn't like that much. You have to make like $2,000 or something. I don't know what it is,
Okay.
but you make a certain amount of money off of a business, and then you're like, okay, well, I have to like put this in my taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's this year has been a ton of learning how to best take care of myself so that I can keep working, learning how to structure my days, learning how to be insistent and have strong boundaries around my work and my work time, learning how to manage my clients.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a really big year of learning and growth, I'd say. I really, really love being like working for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say that I'm a good boss. I tell people that, and a good employee. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's actually really good to know. So, oh shoot, I did have a good question off the top of my head. Okay, so, before you became full time as a part timer, so what was the job that you did have? Without getting too specific, like
Mm-hmm.
what'd you do?
Well, there were a lot of jobs between graduating college and going full time. So I started
Okay.
working at a coffee shop for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was a Montessori teacher for 6 months. I worked in a toddler classroom with 18 toddlers. It was wild. Um, I can't believe I did that. Like, that seems like a dream, but it happened. And now I'm really good with babies.
Oh, good.
And then I know life skills.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I worked at a theater part time
Okay.
in Minneapolis.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I did their graphic design and also managed their box office for them.
Oh,
And
cool.
that would be like a theater, not like a movie theater.
Yeah, yeah, like plays and like,
Mm-hmm.
are you talking like plays or are you talking like Broadway?
Plays, so plays and musicals.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly independent productions would rent the space.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, so with me, I guess just to kind of set up the stage for like where I was at after college.
Mm-hmm.
So for 2 years, I worked part time at a news station as like a production assistant.
Mm-hmm.
I did that for 2 years, and then the rest of the time was spent working on the YouTube stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was kind of like you, where it's like for half the time I was working on the news station, and I was getting like experience like with working like cameras, running a
Mm-hmm.
show, stuff like that, and it was great, like great experience. Money wasn't good though. It was
Mm-hmm.
not. It was like minimum wage, which for us
Mm-hmm.
was like like $8 or something like that. It was bad.
Yeah, at the
Um,
time, yeah.
yeah. And then the other part then too was the YouTube stuff. And so like I
Mm-hmm.
was getting like some money off of YouTube, but it wasn't enough. Like it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like the 2000 or whatever you said to say that I have a small business.
Yeah, I
Um
don't quote me on that, by the way. I'm not sure if that's
no.
true, but that's when I declared my business.
Okay. Okay. I'll noted for sure. So I I kind of regret this move. So like I did that thing, the part time at the news station, and then working at the or doing the YouTube thing for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, I needed to figure out, okay, in order for me to get to farther in my creative career, I need some more money
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know about you, but like I am just drowning in student debt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the best. So yeah. Side note, one thing I think that really hurt, and a reason why I have a lot of student debt, my senior year, I lived at Chapel View, the townhouses.
Oh sure.
Yeah, so that was fun. Did you? I mean, kind of a little random, but like, did you live off campus your senior
No,
year?
I lived on campus all 4 years,
Okay, cool.
which is still expensive, but not, I think Chapel View's even more so. So
Oh yeah, but on
yeah,
but the plus side, I had my own room.
that's great.
Yes, and as introverts, we freaking need that.
Yeah, I had roommates all 4 years
hmm
and it was okay, but I wish I hadn't, except for yeah, well, whatever. I guess I don't regret it. Never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. For me, I had roommates my first 2 years, and then my last 2 years, the my sissy no. But anyway, so my junior year, I actually was at Southwest in a suite.
Oh, awesome.
Yep. So I had my own little room there, and I was with Eric Carlson. You remember him?
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. He's a
Yeah.
sweetheart.
Yep. 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 So and he was the CF or the big cheese whatever of the he like
It's like called an RA for other people, but we call them CF6 Davis.
okay yeah so but you know what I mean right?
Hmm.
Okay, cool. But anyway, so I did that, but because of that, I have a little bit more student debt, which it is what it is. But anyway, what were we talking about?
Living situations. We were
Yeah.
somewhere else before then.
Oh,
Jobs.
oh yeah. So with student debt, so like I need to make some more money.
Yeah, yeah.
So in August of 2017, I made the decision to get a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, my thinking was I was going to do the full-time job, keep the part-time job at the news station, and continue YouTube.
Mm.
which, and then I know this is a part you wanted to talk about, was how do you take care of yourself? I didn't.
Yeah.
And so one of the kind of the memes on my YouTube and whatever is the winter of 2018, which I
Oh
consider
yeah.
the hell of 2018. So first off the bat, I actually did not get my driver's license until I was out of college.
Oh cool.
Yeah, so I was late to the party with that. So going back to the anxious, being anxiety all the time, driving sucks.
Yep.
So yeah, so winter of 2018, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I worked in the entire winter of 2018. I worked 50 hours a week. That was not YouTube. So I was working a
Mm.
full-time job as well as a part-time job on the weekends. Winter, which in the Midwest, is fun. Every morning, I would get up and at like 6 in the morning, and I would go to my car, turn it on, and get all the ice chunks off the windshields, which was
Mm.
fun. Then I get in my car, survive driving to work, which is about, 15, 20 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that every day for the winter of 2018. And and with the YouTube thing, I was working on a big project called One More Spark, which is like pretty much like an alternative NASCAR universe, if you will.
Mm.
I'll just put it that way. A lot of the stuff that I took from the What If Dylan Hart Was Still Alive series, I put into that series. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people were watching me, a lot of stuff was going on. And I put a lot of pressure on myself to stay creative and doing the YouTube thing while doing these jobs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so the money was coming in, which was of course good, but no, it wasn't fun. Just health
Yeah,
wise,
money's not okay if it comes. It's hard to accept more money as an alternative for your health.
exactly. Yep, and I learned that the hard way because there was definitely numerous days. I don't know about you, but like I get completely scatterbrained at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day because, and so disclosure, my job I have right now, your most typical run of the mill office job. I
Mm-hmm.
sit in front of a computer and I process undeliverable mail. I
Mm-hmm.
see mail and I decide if either the mail, well, I don't decide, but like I have like other
Yeah, yeah,
addresses in front
processes.
of me.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so like there's other addresses like in front of me and I decide if it either gets remailed to a new address or if it just gets shredded, you
yeah.
know.
Mm.
And so like the thing is, the job itself is not bad, but for what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing and what I'm pursuing, it definitely, excuse me, hurt my creative process, if you
Mm.
will. Um, and so going back to kind of like why I wanted to talk to you is because since you have your own business like that,
Mm-hmm.
that is a point where and I don't know necessarily yet if I want to do my own business, but I
Mm-hmm.
want to get to a point where I can just get creative. And
Mm-hmm.
whether that is doing my own thing and like making commissions with other people, starting my own Patreon, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or I've also had thoughts of like looking for different like studios. And I would totally be down for like being a I've been looking up the different jobs that are in like the animation field, like the storyboard artist or a background designer or whatever, just to get my
Mm-hmm.
feet wet. Like
Yeah.
even though it's not necessarily like something that I am creating personally, just getting my feet wet into that
Mm-hmm.
field is incredible, and I would
Mm-hmm.
love to do that for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the point is, I've been doing this job now for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Financially, I'm okay, but I'm still living with my folks still,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's another thing I gotta take care of is trying to get my own place to live and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, but you're probably saving a lot of money on rent, you
Oh
know?
yeah, yeah. No,
That's worth it.
it is for sure. But like, come next year, I need to make some hard decisions on if I
Mm-hmm.
want to either continue this job or take that risk and like really consider doing a career. And that's the thing that I don't know about. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if I want to like because again, as I mentioned before, like I'm really torn on what I want to like make because I 100% definitely want to keep going with the animation stuff. And it's really funny because I keep mentioning animation, yet I haven't made anything animated yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I'm working on that, and I
Mm-hmm.
know that like once I understand drawing and like understanding different body positions and whatever, then I will get there.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the flip side of the coin, there is that NASCAR side too, where most of the people have subscribed to me for the NASCAR stuff. And don't get me wrong, like I love the NASCAR stuff, and I love creating just weird oddities in that NASCAR world.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't want to like 100% commit to that either, because in the winter of 2018, I burned myself so hard in that time
Mm-hmm.
because literally my routine was wake up at 6, go to work, do my thing, work out, come home, and then for whatever 3 hours I have left, do the same NASCAR stuff, like the same work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can understand, like if you do the same work like every single day, you'll get sick of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess that's
I would say, you don't have to if you don't have to say goodbye to anything, honestly. If you want to focus on illustration and drawing and animation right now, I say go for that. And you don't have to. I talk about this a lot with my friends, and I also work with a creative coach too, who
oh
is
really
wonderful. Yeah, her name's Laura Hallway. I'll plug her here. She's great. I've been
okay.
working with her for a year, 2 years now. Oh, no, a year now.
Mm,
And she's really, really good. But we talk a lot about this idea because I feel it too. Like when I'm marketing myself, do I need to compartmentalize? Do I need to have a different Instagram for my illustration work and my graphic design work?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I would say, and something that I'm learning now is that like both of those things are integral to who I am
mm-hmm,
as a person, and people want to work with you because of who you are as a person, because of the things that make you special.
mm-hmm.
And they want to work with you because you're good at what you do also, but there are a billion people who are good at what you do, but not people who are good at what you do and are you, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah, you just
So
got.
I would, oh, sorry, go
Oh no,
ahead.
I was just gonna say like just you gotta find your like your niche or your little
Mm-hmm.
niche, if you will, which
Mm-hmm. And
which
you'll find that by exploring, the things that you value and the things that make you who you are.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So I just want to stick back to the business side. So like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess one question off the bat is like, how I know you mentioned the Instagram thing, but like, how do you like get your name out there? How do you like reach out to others and say like, hey, my name is Annie, and I can do this fun, artsy graphic design
Mm-hmm.
stuff for you? Like, how do you
Yeah.
get yourself out there?
Yeah, I think I developed somewhat of a network when I was in college. So, like the Gustavus Network, having done like graphic design for people there,
Mm-hmm.
was really worked out really well for me. And having being a part of the theater community, you naturally, everybody in theater wants work done at all times, and so it's pretty easy to find. It was pretty easy to find like graphic design gigs that way.
Mm-hmm.
After that, though, it was really about it was kind of by chance that so I met Laura, my creative coach, as I was telling you about, and
Yep.
we did a trade actually. She asked me to do her branding work for her while I
Oh.
was starting to get my business going.
Mm-hmm.
And in turn, I was like, okay, great. Well, can you help me figure out what's going on with my life or figure out why I'm feeling stuck in my business and stuck in my work right now?
Mm-hmm.
And so we did a trade. I worked with Laura and started advertising after that. A lot of my work comes from word of mouth, from clients telling each other, telling people about me. I get inquiries from Instagram a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram's a good way for designers and visual artists, especially.
Mm-hmm.
For illustration, I don't do this, but for illustration and animation, Griffin, I would severely think about checking out Twitter.
Okay.
There's a huge community on Twitter for illustrators and animators. Um,
So fun fact, I actually do have a Twitter.
oh, great.
And actually, it's so dumb. I guess I probably should have told you this earlier. I actually have like over 1,000 followers on
Oh, that's
Twitter.
great.
Yeah, but look, I guess more specifically, like who should I reach out to on Twitter?
I mean, I would,
Not, I'm
I
sorry,
think
not
that
like who, but like I guess groups or like what should
yeah,
I
I guess
search?
I don't know. I just started finding people and
Mm-hmm.
then seeing if you find like one or two illustrators. So, somebody from Minnesota that I love is Trungles. He is an illustrator.
How do you spell that?
Um, Trungles,
Got
and
it.
he's wonderful. His art is beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
and he's local, which is fun.
Oh, good.
Uh, he retweets a lot of people. An animator that I like a lot. Let me look up her name so that I don't tell you. I'll look up her handle quick.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have some art of her art on my wall, actually.
Oh, cool. Oh, wait. So you have a Pinterest as well?
Oh, I do. Oh, sorry. I meant like I've bought some of her art and put it on my physical wall.
Oh. Got it.
Um, so somebody I would suggest maybe you follow, and she's retweeting a lot of people too who do animation. Is her name's Kami, and her handle is Karekareo, Kareo.
Correct. Okay, got it. Cool.
Yeah, so just like finding a couple, and then there people on Twitter just like retweet each other's work all of the time. If you look
Hmm.
at hashtags, like a big hashtag that just passed was like art versus artist, so people will be like reposting pictures of themselves surrounding by their art.
Hmm.
And that's a good place to find people to follow and look into. Yeah, there seems to be. I'm not into it. I don't. I just like follow people on Twitter for
Hmm.
inspiration. I don't really post anything ever.
Yeah,
But there seems to be a really tight community
for
there. So,
sure.
and it's
So,
where a lot of people say they get their work from, actually. So,
oh, cool.
mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah. So actually, I kind of have a little, like, I guess, side tangent on Twitter, but
Yeah, yeah.
but I want to mention though. Frick, I memory loss. I'm sorry. This has been a
No,
long day
it's
at work
okay.
today. But no, I guess, frick, I totally forgot what I was gonna say. But shoot, I completely forgot. I just totally
That's
blanked out.
okay.
But so I guess just the thing with Twitter. It's kind of funny because you are totally like for Twitter. I
Hmm.
actually am taking a little break from Twitter,
Yeah,
and I think it's just like I don't know about you, but like there's just a lot of like
yeah,
negativeness.
like garbage.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of garbage on Twitter.
yeah, and I'm just trying my best to like stay away from that. And that's what I'm doing right now. Is like I'm staying away from that just so that I could work more on myself and to get that
Hmm.
creative process going. But you're 100% right. Like there are definitely some contacts out there, and there are some good people out there. It's just me with my ability to reach out. Like I just gotta do it. I just gotta reach out and just say something
Hmm.
to the people. But I don't know. It's just one of those things that's like it's hard for me. Like
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
it's not something that I am normally do, you know.
yeah,
But yeah, no,
yeah. The way
it's
that I've like I have a couple of people that I've connected with like on Twitter because of like illustrations or like like posting them like once in a blue moon that I do, which is like never.
mm,
Um, but they'll politely like follow and then say, "Oh, hey, I really like your artwork in your DM." That's like a really nice way to like reach out to
mm,
people for their art on Twitter. It seems like the most that I see for like people getting work and stuff is like following hashtags, or oftentimes studios and
yeah.
people making things will say, "Hey, I'm looking for this kind of person. Drop your portfolio."
Hmm.
Um, that's something that I
Okay.
see also.
Okay. That is something actually I wanted to talk about here this last like
Mm-hmm.
6 minutes. Portfolios.
Yeah.
How how do you set up a portfolio? Like how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, just generate work, make things. For you, you can just for you, I'd like suggest making more personal work, share
Mm-hmm.
pieces that you're proud of. Once you get to that point where you're like feeling confident in your drawing skills, and when you get to animation, when you feel confident in that, the things that you like, throw it on. I mean, I recommend Squarespace as a really good host site
Mm-hmm.
for portfolios. But that's also me plugging Squarespace because I'm a Squarespace designer. So
Oh, okay.
that's part of the graphic design stuff.
Sure.
But I do think that they are the best, one of the best platforms out there for DIY website hosting. But yeah, just plug everything into a website and then go ahead and start giving the link out to people.
Okay.
Um,
So the reason I asked and is because like I'm personally and I actually really haven't told really anybody this, but I'm really hesitant about like whenever someone says like, "Oh, drop your portfolio," because it's like
mm-hmm,
sometimes like I don't know what to share, if you
mm-hmm,
will. And so like so far I have like the 10 drawings which I'm very like proud of, but I also know it's like a stepping stone to
mm-hmm.
continue making more work. And then I also have like the videos that I told you about, like both the NASCAR videos as well as like Jennifer and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like I guess like would I share that or like
It depends. I think you would share video work if you're trying to get video work. I think you'd share animation and drawings if you're trying to get that kind of work, because they want to see that you can make those things.
sure. Would it make any difference though, like if stuff is like outdated, like for example that Jennifer movie was made in 2016? Would they like maybe want to see
Mm.
someone where it's like, okay, I see you made that, but can you make something like that more recently?
Mm-hmm. A lot of times they want to see stuff like within 2 years, like you've made it within 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is something that I see a lot for a requirement.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I mean, but I still think that like work is work and it shows that you're capable, you know?
Yeah. And see, that's that. Okay. So this is the last big thing I want to mention is just
Hmm.
so at some point, I do plan to leave my job. I don't know when, but at some point. But the thing I'm just, I guess, worried about, and I would even add like scared about, is like because right now, like with the job I have, and by the way, side note, I left my production assistant job, so I'm only
Hmm.
working 40 hours a week versus 50.
Yeah,
But what,
that's great.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
plus for sure. But my worry is, and I totally want your opinion on this. Um, when I like leave and then I'm only doing like this, like should I have stuff like content like ready once I quit so then I immediately have that, or should I like sandbag for a while and then that's like once I quit then start making stuff and then get it
Mm-hmm.
out there? So I guess what are your thoughts? And if you want to ask me questions, go for it.
I would say you'd want to have stuff ready to go by the time that you decide to leave your job and go full time
Mm-hmm.
with your endeavor. Yeah, you want to make sure that I mean, I would even say that you maybe want to try to pick up like a freelance gig, a couple of those, try it
Mm-hmm.
out and
Mm-hmm.
see what it's like working with a client or working with, somebody else where you'd be under, a time deadline or under, client requirements or something like that.
For sure.
Get a couple of those and maybe and have some connections made before you make that leap because you want to make sure that you're just not I mean maybe you can leap into the void, that's definitely a way to do things, I feel like,
Yeah.
but you want to make sure that you have something, some sort of structure, I think, to hold on to too.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, because that's like the part again that I'm just worried about is because like I'm capable and it's like and that's another
Mm-hmm.
thing too. Like I know I can work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know I can definitely like jump into that. But and that's the reason why I'm working for so long is so that I do have that safety net so that once I make that leap, there'll be at least something there to, protect my fall, if you
Yeah,
will.
absolutely. Yeah, so like having money saved up is helpful, and then yeah, having work ready to go is another way of making that
Hmm.
like a
Yeah.
nest instead of
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the reason why it's so hard for me because again, because this work that I'm doing, like this full time job I have, is pretty taxing on me
Mm,
just physically and then also mentally because there's sometimes where I just lose my train of thought.
hmm.
Um, and so like I definitely do want to like make stuff, whether it is NASCAR related or drawing or animation or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but just lack of time and lack of energy really suffers for that. And
Yeah.
so, and again, I don't need like a direct answer, but that's something I got to think about moving
Hmm.
forward. So,
Yeah. And maybe it's that you decide you want to dedicate a half hour a day,
sure.
something small at first where you can practice your craft, or you don't have time during the week because you're so exhausted from your job, but you take, 2 hours every Saturday to
Hmm.
do some work.
Yeah.
You don't have to, it doesn't have to be hard on you. Um,
Yeah. That is a hard part for me is just being
mhm.
hard on myself because like there's definitely and not to sound like selfish or cocky, and I know we're out of time here, but not
It's
to
okay. I've
be
got a couple minutes.
okay, but not to be like selfish or cocky, but like I feel like I have a lot of potential, and there's a
Hmm.
lot of new, different stuff that I can totally like make or create.
Hmm.
Just give me the time, give me the tools, and I
Hmm.
definitely can do that. So, okay, so we are out of time, but Annie, is there any last things you wanted to say or mention?
I don't think so. Thank you so much for having me on, Griffin. This was super fun.
Absolutely. No, I'm really glad just to spitball ideas, different thoughts. Hopefully you got something out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great conversation.
Cool, cool. All right, so I guess last thing, where would we find you, Annie?
Oh, you can follow me on Instagram at AWW Galloway, GALLOWAY.
Okay, cool. I didn't put that in the description, but I'll do that after
That's
I'm
okay,
done with
no
this
worries.
stream. But okay, cool. So I think we'll wrap it up here. So Annie, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks, Griffin.
And I'll do it here. So thank you guys so much for watching. And this is Griffin Spear saying so long until next time. And